What's up everybody, my name is Jonathan and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about respiration. Now respiration is a fairly broad term, so I'll do my best to break it down and simplify it for you. Respiration is defined as the exchange of gases between the atmosphere and the systemic cells of our bodies. Respiration is important for two main reasons. Number one, it brings oxygen into our bodies, which our cells need to live and function properly. And two, it helps rid our bodies of carbon dioxide, a cellular waste product. In order for respiration to occur, four continuous simultaneous processes must take place. Pulmonary ventilation is the exchange of gases between the atmosphere and the alveoli of our lungs. Alveolar exchange is the exchange between the alveoli in our lungs and blood, and this occurs via pulmonary capillaries. Gas transport is the transportation of these gases in our blood throughout the body. And systemic gas exchange, also known as internal respiration, is the exchange of respiratory gases between the blood and systemic cells of the body, and this occurs via systemic capillaries. Before we go any further, let's take a look at some of the organs that make up the respiratory system. Now, the respiratory system can be organized by both structure and function. The structural organization consists of an upper respiratory and a lower respiratory tract. The upper respiratory tract consists of the nose, nasal cavity, and pharynx, while the lower respiratory tract consists of the larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveolar ducts, and alveoli. The functional organization of the respiratory system can be divided into both conducting and respiratory zones. Organs of the conducting zone function as air passageways, and they include everything from the nose down to the terminal bronchioles. I'll show an illustration in just a moment. Organs of the respiratory zone include respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, and alveoli, and these structures participate in gas exchange with blood. Now let's take a look at some of the tissue types that make up the organs of the respiratory system. The most prominent tissue type that we see is known as pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelial tissue, or PCCET for short. It functions in the production and movement of mucus in the respiratory tract. This not only moistens airways, but it also defends the body against foreign materials. Simple ciliated columnar epithelial tissue functions similarly to PCCET and is found in smaller bronchi and large bronchioles. Simple ciliated cuboidal epithelial tissue functions similarly to those previously mentioned, however we tend to see fewer cilia and no mucin production. We also see simple cuboidal cells within the alveolar walls which produce surfactant, crucial to reducing surface tension in the alveoli, thus preventing their collapse. Finally, we see simple squamous epithelial tissue. This tissue is only found in organs of the respiratory zone, and its primary function is that of gas exchange. Another important tissue type that we see in areas prone to abrasion is that of non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelial tissue, and this is only found in the oral cavity, oropharynx, laryngopharynx, and superior larynx. Here we see a diagram of the conducting and respiratory zones and the tissue types that line the organs within them. Another important anatomical observation is the presence of cartilage in the larynx, trachea, and bronchi. As we move down into the bronchioles, we no longer see cartilage. Instead, we see a thicker layer of smooth muscle. This smooth muscle layer allows for bronchoconstriction and bronchodilation, which helps to increase or decrease the size of the lumen, thus regulating the amount of air that reaches the alveoli. Now that we've gone over the basic anatomy involved with respiration, let's take a look at the process itself. Remember we said that there are four simultaneous continuous processes that take place during respiration. The first of which is pulmonary ventilation. During pulmonary ventilation, air containing oxygen is inhaled into the alveoli during the inspiratory phase. This is the movement of respiratory gases from the outside to the inside, between the atmosphere and the alveoli of the lungs. After passing through both upper and lower respiratory tract, the air reaches alveoli where external respiration occurs. Oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into the blood of pulmonary capillaries during alveolar gas exchange. The gases in air move down a pressure gradient from areas of high concentration to areas of low concentration. This is where alveoli play a crucial role in maintaining not only respiratory homeostasis, but also cellular homeostasis, as the two must be compatible. Under normal conditions, blood leaving the lungs will have oxygen and carbon dioxide partial pressures that are similar to the average values found in the alveoli. It is alveolar ventilation that establishes these values. If the values are ever out of range, the changes detected by chemoreceptors and respiratory responses are then promoted to change alveolar ventilation. This then alters alveolar gas composition in order to reverse the change. Following alveolar gas exchange, oxygenated blood is delivered back to the heart via pulmonary veins, where it is then distributed throughout the body. Oxygen then diffuses from the blood within the systemic capillaries into systemic cells of the body, while carbon dioxide diffuses from systemic cells into the blood. This is also known as internal respiration. Gas transport continues as carbon dioxide is transported within the blood from the systemic cells back to the lungs via pulmonary arteries. Carbon dioxide then diffuses from the blood within the pulmonary capillaries into the alveoli during alveolar gas exchange, again from areas of high concentration to low. Finally, air containing carbon dioxide is then exhaled from the alveoli into the atmosphere during the expiratory phase of pulmonary ventilation. An important concept to understand is how oxygen is transported in the blood to reach cells of the body. Hemoglobin is a red blood cell protein that oxygen binds to within the pulmonary capillaries. Once in the blood, oxygen can then assist in carrying out one of the body's most important cellular processes, aerobic cellular respiration. Every single cell in the human body requires energy. In order to get the energy they need in the form of ATP, cells must undergo cellular respiration, which occurs in the mitochondria. The major role of oxygen in aerobic respiration is to synthesize ATP by accepting electrons generated from the breakdown of macromolecules present in food. It is this energy from ATP that drives all cellular processes required to maintain life. It is also through respiration that our bodies are able to maintain a suitable acid-base balance by removing carbon dioxide, a waste product of cellular respiration. Thank you all for watching my video. Hopefully you learned a little bit about the functional and structural significance and importance of respiration.
Yeah, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.